Hello and welcome back to the Fastest Podcast, where we cover everything from the greatest overtakes to the fastest pit stops. I'm your host today, Jazz, and I have with me Dan and Pigeon, and we're going to talk about the thing that everyone's talking about and will be talking about until the checkered flag falls in Abu Dhabi, and that is McLaren and their Papaya Rules. Not a tense subject at all, is it, guys?
No, it definitely doesn't rule social media with the most delusional fans. Definitely not a really unnecessary conversation about it after every single race weekend, quali practice, interview, and home lives of both the drivers. So, yeah, no tension at all.
I mean, after Singapore, I think maybe it is a conversation to be had, as much as it pains me. There's been a lot of sort of mixed opinion, a lot of discourse about what went wrong and how that might impact the rest of the season, as if it hasn't impacted the entire season already. So let's dissect a little bit. How did you view the incident in Singapore in lap one for a start? We start here and then we will solve the problem.
Well, if you look at it, it's a typical turn one incident, really. Turn 1, 2, whatever you want to call it. It is a typical incident. Norris had a really good start. And to be honest, I think he might have got a little bit squeezed by Piastri going into turn 1, but he still then had the inside on turn 2. And I think he was possibly looking at getting a good exit and trying to even challenge Verstappen, okay? He ended up knocking into the back of Verstappen, so we lost control of the car. He got a kick of, I think it was oversteer, and he went into Piastri, and both cars got damaged from it. They both had damage to their front wing. So you then can't say that one of the McLarens was, had their race ruined from the damage, because they both had the damage. It was equal damage. I think it's a typical, beginning of the race incident. And also it's hard racing, They had pretty much wrapped up the Constructors' Championship, so that wasn't a problem. And, both drivers have got to think, this year could be the only year I win the championship. I don't know what's going to happen next year. So Norris, he's got to eat into that lead. He's got to beat Piastri basically in every race. There might have been a bit of that going on in his head as well, but if that was Verstappen v Leclerc, everyone would just be saying that's tough racing. If you put Hamilton in that car against,
Alonso.
I don't know, in the field, you say it's tough racing. It's what these drivers are meant to be doing. You saw it last year with Norris against Verstappen. Both of them were hard racing each other. We didn't have this conversation, but it's because it's teammates at McLaren and a history of teammates at McLaren that they don't want to repeat of. Senna, Prost, Hamilton, Alonso. So I think, it's a typical turn one incident in that scenario.
Do you think that the current discourse on this matter is happening because of Norris's move on Piastri, or because of what the precedent currently is that the team have set?
I mean, I think what McLaren is doing this year is just a bunch of PR bullshit. There's no need for it. You just have two teammates who are both in a good car and delivering. And yeah, you want to keep fair racing, but the fact that they dubbed it Papaya Rules makes it sound so official. It really shouldn't be, I believe. It's just hard racing. Whenever you're racing, you're racing. And if you're not going to race, then you shouldn't drive. So, yeah, and I really don't see the need for Papaya Rules at all, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Papaya Rules is a bit of a myth. Every team has don't hit your teammate. we want both cars to finish
It's
the
a
race.
good place to start.
And that's yeah, it is.
If you want to start anywhere, that's where you basically want to go. Don't crash, don't crash into your teammate. That's.
I think the only team that didn't have, let's say, Papaya Rules was probably Racing Point when Perez and Ocon kept hitting each other every weekend.
Alpine as well,
So,
with Alonso and Ocon.
Oh, Alpine as well, yeah. Surprisingly, Ocon again. Anyway, not hating on Ocon, love the guy. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's just don't hit your teammate. That's what Papaya Rules is. The rest of it, the swap positions, don't fight your teammate. That's just all, McLaren trying to save face if something goes wrong. They don't want to have to rebuild damage. They're looking at what happened at Mercedes, maybe between Hamilton and Rosberg. They don't want to repeat of that, I guess. But, I mean, Papaya Rules is just don't hit your teammate. I mean, that should be common sense for every single driver and every single team. Race them hard, but don't hit them. That's it.
If only it were that simple. I mean, things have not looked ideal in response. I think McLaren are probably not loving the attention that they're getting at the moment. That is not really being directed at their constructors win. Congratulations to McLaren, by the way. I know they watch this podcast. I think they're getting a lot of heat at the moment from Piastri fans. And then the Norris fans are getting upset, and it's just the whole thing. I would argue that the situation that we're in has very little to do with the drivers and has completely 100% everything to do with this precedent they've set in Monza. Some people argue, and I think I've probably said this on the podcast before, what happened in Monza this season was a way of closing that chapter that started in Hungary last year. But I think the other issues that we've seen throughout the season, swap position, don't do this, oh no, you're getting too close, maybe that's contributing to this. Now, some people I think are also saying on this incident in Singapore, oh well, they should have let Piastri go through. But how do you manage that when it is a lap one incident? A racing incident. It's not some great move for the lead. It's two cars going into one, doesn't fit, and this is kind of the outcome of that. It's not a middle of the race strategy moment. It's a early corner. How do you look at it from that point of view?
I mean, we've been talking about this all season, haven't we?
No!
Sorry, this is the first time we're talking about the McLaren drivers and how they should be racing each other. No, it's been something we've been saying all season. It's kid gloves. McLaren just wants their drivers to be safe, to be scoring points. And on the one hand, I get it. You want points for the team. You want them to do well. But at some point, you just have to let them race. Because they've been pretty close all season, like on track. You don't see McLaren's like one is in P1 and the other is in P7. You usually see them right on the same level, and they are either P1 or P2 or P2 and P3, P4, P5. They're always the next driver on the track, and then you're going to get them trying to race each other. And every time they're going to race, you hear McLaren on the radio, oh yeah, back off. Or yeah, you should not try and overtake it. It's just getting boring at this point. Let them race, let them crash, I don't care. But just don't keep interfering. Because it just takes away the racing element of it.
So, sorry, Dan, do you want to add your...
Yeah, I just want to point out, people will be saying, on the flip side, that Piastri was moaning and bitching about Norris hitting him into turn 1 or 2 or whatever it was. But Piastri hadn't seen a replay at this time. So he doesn't know exactly what happened that caused Norris to lose control of the car and hit him. He's probably thinking, right, this is gloves off time now. He's just hit me. I mean, Piastri was very close to having his race ended. He was very close to the wall. on the exit. So on the flip side, you've got to think, from Piastri's point of view, he didn't know. So I think he's moaning and complaining, but if he had, in hindsight, seen a replay of it, he'd have been like, look, there's not much Norris could have done, brake a bit later, but what racing driver's not going to go for a gap? What racing driver's not going to, brake that extra bit later to try and gain positions? It's part and parcel of motor racing contact, and I just think, get on with
It's
it.
also heat of the moment, of course, because they're asking right away, like, yeah, what is he what is he doing, and you don't know what's happening. You can only see like 180 degrees, and not even the full 180 degrees of that in your car, and you don't see everything, and you're racing, you're trying to, especially at the start, gain positions, and if you're then getting hit by your teammate of all people, you don't know what's happening, and you're just frustrated. You just want to know what's happening, but you also have to focus on the race. So, yeah, it's also something that we've seen in the media, of course, where everything's being taken as an interview, rather than you're either racing a car or you just finished racing a car, versus an actual honest-to-God interview.
I also think as well that you saw it in both of their post-race interviews. They both kind of said the same thing. Like, I can't really comment on this because I haven't seen the issue. It's not like they are two rivals from a different team. They are on the same team. They have to go and review that. And it's like a different, for lack of a better word, like duty of care that you give to a different competitor. They need to go and assess that internally. They both need to look at what happened. Lando never said, ooh, well, whatever, I was just going for it. He was saying that's racing, that's a symptom of racing. And, Piastri was very diplomatic about it as well. Need to go away, assess whatever that was, and see what comes from that. So I'm sure, they've got away as a team. It's just a tense one. It's just a tense one. And I think we're going to now have this problem to the end of the season. So that brings on to the big, great question that I have for you. How would you go about fixing Papaya Rules or whatever this situation is for the rest of the season?
I've been dying to talk about this. So we finally have constructors all wrapped up. There's nothing more to gain for McLaren other than for one of their drivers to win at the end of the season. Just have them work as two separate teams from now on. Don't start interfering with team calls or whatever. Just say, Oscar, there's your garage. Norris, there's your garage. Have fun, You could even say, as McLaren being like, you don't have access to each other's data anymore. Just do your own thing, But just have them work as two separate entities within that team, because it's just between the two of them now. There's no more team thing to be gotten.
On that though, how do you then reconcile that next year when maybe they are not as competitive or whatever, and then they've got to go again and do all that, and they've had this really tense end to the season? Because McLaren have also got to think about the future. They can't just think about this season, and I think that maybe is where they've gone wrong. They've maybe thought too hard about the future, and now we're in a bit of a mess. So how do you reconcile that as a team?
I mean, they've been a little bit too friendly, I guess. It's a team, but it's also your biggest rival, and that's already usually the case. Your teammate is your biggest rival on the grid, but right now they're also your biggest rival in the title fight. So he's not your teammate anymore. He's your rival, and he's always going to be your rival for as long as you're racing.
I mean, I think the simple answer to your question there, Jazz, is that's a next year problem.
That's a problem for future McLaren.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Do the drivers, constructors are sorted, as we've said, yeah? What else do the drivers have to race for apart from their championship now? They don't need to think about McLaren. You've seen in the whole PR McLaren, Lando and Norris, they're friendly as you can be with a teammate. they'll go skipping round the mountains arm in arm after the season, most likely. But I mean, for the last 6 races, they just have to go for it. They have to think, this is my year, this is my chance. Because you don't know. Mercedes with Russell next year could be a massive threat. Ferrari, no.
Don't tell Doc about that, please.
Brutal.
But when you've got Lewis Hamilton in a car and he's happy with the car, you never quite know, right? Red Bull, they might not be anywhere. So, McLaren might be, again, the top team, but if McLaren are a top team, then Mercedes are going to be up there because it's more about the engine than the aerodynamics.
True.
So this is their year. This is their big chance. And come on, the gloves have to come off now. I'm not saying you crash into each other or whatever, but okay, well, some are. But what I'm saying is, race each other hard. Give millimeters of room. If you have to, nudge them off the track a little bit. Fairly, but give them a little nudge.
Another follow-up question. Could this sort of half commitment to whatever it is that's happening now, like the whole, we don't really want them to sort of go all in, gloves off it, because it's going to be really embarrassing if Max gets one of them. Could that also be a factor for McLaren to consider here? Is it better to just play the team game, maximise points, and just pull a 1-2 no matter the cost, rather than Lando getting jumped by Max in the Drivers' Championship?
I'll be honest with you. If Norris comes second or he comes third, it doesn't matter. You've lost. Done. You get no prizes for coming second. For me, if you come second, you may as well come 4th, 5th, 6th. There's no glory. No one's going to remember you for coming second. If you don't come first, it doesn't really matter where you come. That's my view.
Yeah, that's fair.
Truth hurts, but you're right. I mean, the way I'm kind of looking at the rest of the season is, after Singapore, if I was Zach Brown or Andrea Stella, I would probably say, right, in Austin, go and do your thing. See what happens. Now, if Oscar dominates or Max dominates in that race, Lando, Oscar's getting all the priorities from here on out. We will be prioritising him. He's leading the championship. We cannot risk it. And now this is why my plan is not future-proof, if Lando wins that race, comes ahead of Oscar in that race, keep it alive, see what happens. But that kind of does open them up to other problems. But that's kind of what I would do, because the whole team order thing is clearly not working. So I'd say you either go fully one way or fully the other. If Max is looking a bit too competitive, Oscar, congratulations, mate, you've won the driver's title. Crack on. That's probably how I would approach it. Pains me to my very core, but that's probably the way that I would manage that situation. But that's why I'm not in charge.
Yeah. The thing with prioritizing drivers is it only works if one of them really isn't in contention anymore. I mean, you can do it on a race-by-race basis, but it doesn't work for a full season when you're only, 22, 23 points apart? I mean, you're each other's closest rival in the championship. It really shouldn't be a matter of prioritization. Just look at it on a race. I think this is what Red Bull had at some point. They were like, strategy-wise, the person who qualifies in front of the other one gets the better strategy. That's how we'll do it.
I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to just let them all crack on and not worry about Verstappen, not worry about each other, drive for yourself, see what happens. That's priority number one. But they're not letting that happen. So, you know, you can kind of look at last season as well. Lando was never really in contention for that championship, and yet McLaren chose to prioritise him towards the end of the season. Nothing came of it. So, let's be real. One of them's going to win it. Probably the one from down under. So, you might as well, like, choose something. Do something. Put them out of their misery, because while I don't think Max is going to really do much damage, I think, you know, prioritising one clearly, secure that 1 and 2 in the Drivers' Championship, which no team has done for a good few years. Right? Yeah. Right?
Wait, what are you saying?
I don't know. We'll cut this bit out.
Fastest podcast. Highlights.
But when did Red Bull do a 1-2 with Max and Perez?
Yeah, only 2023, and I think it was like 3 points.
Well, that doesn't... Whatever. Regardless, it would still be a big achievement, either way. They're going to say I've got no wheel knowledge now. The fact of the matter is, like, yeah, they're still going to have a big achievement either way. They've got the constructors. They'll have 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. You've eradicated that threat of Verstappen coming in and ruining everyone's fun. I just think that whatever they do, no one's going to be 100% happy. So you might as well...
That's racing.
No, I know. That's racing. Exactly. So do it. Commit.
I just want to point out, if this was Hamilton and Leclerc going for a world title, okay, forget the Ferrari element for a minute. The two actual drivers, yeah? Do you think that they would care about the other driver? As in their feelings or what happens to them on track? No. They want to win the championship, right? Norris and Piastri are too much about worrying about each other. Just go and drive. Do your best on track. I don't care about if you upset the other one, because if it gets you the glory, it's worth it.
There's a reason they say may the best driver win. Because it's the best driver who wins.
Have we actually seen Norris or Piastri caring all that much? Like, apart from what they want us to think, and they want us to think that they love each other, and that, as you say, they go skipping around the mountains after the season ends. But beyond that, do we actually see them doing that this season? I don't think so. In fact, I think the temperature's gone down in that hospitality suite, to be honest, especially as the season's progressed. I don't think that they are sort of disillusioned with, but we're best friends. I don't think they've done that, really. I think that's just the way that sort of the marketing cards have fallen. Do you guys think that they've done that?
I mean, nowadays you can't even distinguish media from reality anymore. It's all you see, you know. Even the drivers have to do PR training, and they have to be careful with how they answer questions. And of course they're going to say, yeah, if I see Oscar on the weekend, I'll buy him a beer or whatever, you know. They're not going to say, well, I had a fight with him or whatever. It's just media these days. We don't see the personality behind their lives, and we shouldn't, because it's, you know, private and whatnot. We don't know what they are like when the cameras are off. And that's good to them, you know. I wouldn't want to know what's going on behind the cameras, because it's their lives, and they deserve to have their privacy. And if they're best friends, that's fine. If they're not, that's also fine, because I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't really impact. It shouldn't, or it should impact what's happening on
the track. I mean, F1 is the top of the sport, and you're gonna go either all in or you're out. That's the way you do it. And I just want to see that on track. And I'm not at the moment. So, yeah.
I just want to interview, like, the good old Hulkenberg v. Magnussen.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, or the Massa and Hamilton. Or the Massa and Hamilton, or, you know, just actually say what you think.
Yeah.
Just actually come out and say what you think. Forget this PR
2018
rubbish.
Verstappen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forget this rubbish, yeah? Actually just say what you think. If Piastri actually think, do you know what? Norris hit me on purpose there. And it's because he wants to gain points at me in the championship. Say what you think. I think that's part of a championship. That there's no I'm getting under your skin. I'm playing mind games. Like Vettel and Hamilton even when they would do it. There's nothing. It's just too nice. It is. It's too nice. And yeah, this might win you a championship against your teammate, but if you're going up against Verstappen next year, being nice it's not going to go well for
I
you.
think you have to factor in as well that McLaren have been like this for a very, very long time. They are very optic centered as a team. If Lewis has spoken about it in the past, he wasn't allowed to do anything when he was at McLaren. The Ron Dennis effect, he wasn't allowed to do certain fashion things, certain style things, because that went against what they wanted the perception of their team to be. And it doesn't matter that Ron Dennis isn't involved anymore. Zach Brown is a marketing guy. So that has still very much carried over into this modern McLaren that we're seeing today. And they just so happen to have two drivers that are very good at that. Lando is very marketable. Piastri is becoming very marketable the more he sort of grows in the sport. They're trying to do more stuff with him as well. They are very concerned by their optics in a way that just sort of goes in hand with modern F1. I think that the best way to do the rest of the season, we should have papaya roulette, right? And you spin the thing and might say, you get to pit first. It might say you have to do a drive-through pit stop. It might say, it can say a lot of different things.
So you want to play Mario Kart then?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I think we should
So you want to play Formula E then?
Yeah. or, no, got it. What we do, right? McLaren, listen. What we do is Lando's radio, Oscar's radio. Bring them together, right?
Get out the way!
Yeah. Sack off the pit wall. No, we can keep their engineers in the loop on this as well. When they get out there, they decide on strategy. They can argue it out between them. Lando, you've just knocked into me. Oh, sorry. They can do it between them. See what happens. Thoughts? I'll take questions now.
For the love of God, stop asking Norris who wants to pit first.
Every time it happens, when we did the watch along the other day, I was just forehead to the table. They've been doing this to him for so long. It was
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But the one thing that every time they do this and they ask him about pitting and anything adjacent, I always go back to Sochi 21.
Yep.
Oh, Lando, so I know that you don't have any of this data in front of you right now, and we do. And I know you can't see the weather radar, but we can. But we're not going to do what Mercedes are doing. We're not going to actually give you the information and, make you pit because we know you need to pit. How are you feeling, mate? How's it going out there? What's going on?
I mean, that's wet track racing, but it really shouldn't be more difficult than how your tire's feeling. Do you want to pit? No, I'm feeling fine. Okay, we'll stay out. And then, you just go to Piastri, are your tires? Yeah, my tires are feeling a little bit worn out. Okay, well, come into pit. Why are you asking Norris? Do you want us to pit Piastri first? Why
Yeah.
would it, why would you even give him the power of that? Because you're literally asking your main rival for the title. Yeah, should we pit Oscar first, or you want to go? Like, why?
They're weak. They're weak. They don't want to upset the feelings.
Well, why don't they ask Oscar it then? Do you want us to pit Lando first? I haven't heard them asking it once.
Don't open that door.
Yeah. But I'm also looking at the current pole sitters for the past 5 races. We've had only one McLaren pole in the past 5 races. We have seen a Monza where you cannot overtake. We've seen Singapore where if Sainz had started on pole, he would have won the race. I'm sure of it. I'm very sure of it.
50-50.
If he hadn't got disqualified.
If we take away the disqualification and the troubles, if Sainz had started on pole for what would have been a miracle in Singapore, he would have won that race. Anyone who would have started on pole would have won that race.
There's a great Max
because you could not
quote in
overtake.
here about mums and balls. But
But I'm just saying we've dubbed the 2025 season as the qualifying championship.
Yeah.
We've seen McLaren definitely take back a step in pace. They haven't dominated anything in the past couple of races.
They will
Other
go
than Zandvoort, they were on the pace in Zandvoort. But other than that, we haven't seen them dominate like they did in Miami or early season.
But that's just the performance gap, I think, closing slightly, where other teams have continued to sort of develop and they haven't as much.
Yeah, but if McLaren don't take pole positions in the next 6 races, we could see them seriously having trouble. And we have seen that they make mistakes in quali. Whether it be silly mistakes where you just brush a wall or just take a little bit of gravel or just smash into the wall at turn, 7 in Baku? We haven't seen them be perfect in qualifying for a couple of races now.
Yeah.
There could be an issue going into the final 6.
And I will lap up every second. It's just, I feel we are just in dangerous territory now where this could just go really wrong for everyone involved, not just Lando Norris. I think we are... It's just bad. It's just bad. Like, let's be real. It's just bad. The whole thing has been bad, and like you say, they're not running away with it anymore. So this is part of why I'm saying maybe it's not ideal to prioritize one of them, but at this point in the season, I think they need to commit one way or the other. Because they're not running away with it anymore.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. There's 22-point gap. That's nothing. If Piastri DNFs in the next race and Norris wins it, he's leading the championship. Verstappen's not doing anything, right? He'll win a race here and there, but there's too much of a points gap for him to really be involved. Okay, in my opinion, they can't prioritise. This is a title fight. They can't prioritise. Like Pigeon said, that it should be split down the middle. One garage is one team, one garage is another team. They're no longer McLaren. They drive a McLaren car. They're not a McLaren team.
But again, I think that I will poke holes in that because as much as I think, sure, like I don't have a massively set opinion because there are so many variables to this, but I think that does start to kind of fall apart when you take into account what sort of team McLaren are. They are not going to do that because I just don't think that they can for their whole thing. Like, their whole thing is Papaya family, 481. Like, it's just we love each other and corporate circle time. Like, it goes against literally everything that they put forward as a brand. You know, their whole social media at the moment is people just in all caps shouting at them, Oscar deserves better, and such, and onwards, whatever.
Do you really think Oscar cares?
I don't think Oscar cares, but these people seem to think so, and that's fine. But their entire response to that is just posting nice photos of everyone looking happy. They're not going to split their team.
I mean,
If
like
they do,
that, I have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. Because we're at a point in the season where both drivers can basically taste that driver's title.
Do you?
They have one hand on it, both of them. And Verstappen has like one pinky finger on the bottom.
Do you think this is something I actually want? Like, oh yeah, Lando, stay at home today, mate. I don't want it, but I just.
At some point, you can't be nice. At some point, you'll have to make the really dick move and just blow past your teammate. Because you could do it within the rules. It wouldn't have to be nice, but you can do it within the rules. But at some point, you as a driver, you're just going to say, well, I'm just going to go for it because I want to win this. And you can't say like, oh yeah, Norris gave me a position back in 1994 and now I want to repay him because, then that's settled. But that's not how racing works.
I saw a tweet
you go to a race on Wednesday, you do the media on Thursday, you practice on Friday, you qualify on Saturday, and Sunday you give it all you got. And that's how F1 works. Except for a sprint weekend, which is going to be next week. But hey, kind of didn't fit with my analogy. So, but that's how F1 works. You do it day by day, and you go to the opportunity you got. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But if you do get the chance, then you go for it. And there's nothing political or PR about it. You just want to race. You just want to win. And that's how both drivers should be doing this. And I think they're going to as well.
And our dad, if one of the drivers doesn't like it, there's 10 other teams they can go to.
Well, Mark Webber is circling.
Exactly. I mean, let's be honest. It's happened throughout McLaren's history. Prost didn't like that. What Senna was doing, so he left. He went to Ferrari. Alonso, he didn't fit the McLaren mold. He wasn't this sort of PR merchant that they wanted. He spent one season. He was out the door. So I just don't think that they should be thinking about McLaren anymore. There's just no way that in either of their minds they should be considering the team. If they break a front wing? They break a front wing. It's not the end of the world because in that car, they'll pit, they can recover points or whatever. But are McLaren really going to care anymore now they're wrapped up? They shouldn't, because they should be let their drivers race.
Final 6 races, just Norris racing, Piastri racing, Verstappen racing. That's how it goes.
Russell.
Angelini is pretty close, so I wouldn't say it's just Russell racing. But it's fair enough. Russell and Leclerc is also still in it, mathematically speaking. So
I'm pretty sure that, not to burst everyone's bubble, but I'm pretty sure Andrea Stella's already said that it's business as usual and we're not doing all that. We're just going to continue as we are. Yep.
Thanks for that, Jazz. You just ruined the podcast.
He said it. I still think that we still have all these problems and those problems are not going to go away the same way they haven't gone away all season. It doesn't really matter what he said because he can say whatever he wants. How it plays out on the racetrack is a whole other different thing entirely. I want to ask 2 more questions to you guys. First one being, do you think that Oscar and Lando are too nice, or do you think it is just team optics?
Let's go in unison, okay? Yes, of course they are.
Yes, they are too nice.
Give me Verstappen Hamilton in 21, please.
We didn't know how good we had it, guys. We didn't know how good we had it in 2021.
Yeah, but also 2022, when we had Leclerc versus Verstappen. those
Until Ferrari done
but
Ferrari
the
things.
first like 7 races of the season, those were amazing races with amazing racing, also amazing cars, which we don't have anymore, which is sad. But just go for it. Stop with the la di da di da. I don't want to see that. Just go for it.
Do we all agree that this isn't just a Norris problem now, but also a Piastri problem?
I never said it was a Norris problem.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying, okay, the proverbial we. Like, people on social media, a lot of the fans, a lot of the media pundits, everyone's saying Norris has a mentality issue. Would you say now it's fair to say that both of them have that same issue?
I think we've seen in the past though that Piastri, before they implemented Papaya Rules or whatever you want to call it, you look at Monza last year. You know, he raced him hard, and you know he should have got the win. You know, if McLaren hadn't done a Ferrari and Ferrari actually turned up for once, but we've seen it that if he's let off the leash, Piastri doesn't have this mental block. He can race his teammate hard. I think the problem for Norris isn't about racing his teammate hard. It's about the mistakes he makes, and he can't seem to bounce back from the mistakes he makes. Belgium, he was overdriving the car constantly. That's a race he should have won. And he made one mistake, and after he made that, it led into another and another and another. And he doesn't make those 3 or 4 mistakes. He probably overtakes Piastri, or he gets a lot closer. So I don't think it's a racing Piastri mentality problem. I think it's getting in his own head. He makes a mistake, and then he tries to overcompensate by overdriving the car. That's where I have a problem with Norris's mentality.
To be fair, there's only 4 ways in 5 ways in 2025 where you can overtake another driver. That's lap 1, a grave mistake by another driver, rain, safety cars, or pit stops. And 3 of those we don't always see. So it's just lap 1, and after that you can't overtake because the cars are trash. So even if he had the pace, he wouldn't have been able to get past in that race. I don't think he would have.
We don't know.
We see it every single race where we start, and then they race and they follow in DRS for 70,000 laps, and then they're like, oh yeah, I almost had him, and he never even took a look. It's you can't overtake this year. It's terrible. It's the reality. You gotta accept it. But if it's not raining, safety cars or whatever, you just can't overtake, and that's just how it is. You just need to be on it in lap 1, and if you're not, then you're losing out.
Would you say that after seeing Norris kind of come alive a little bit in Singapore, do a bit of racing, get the elbows out, would you say that there's sort of a reignited something there? A little bit of heat, maybe, to carry forward?
I think it was just Singapore being hot. I mean, he followed Max for the entire race. He showed his car once on the outside in a turn going left where there's no space. Wasn't even a move in my book. He was at no point was he close to overtaking Max. He just followed the entire race. So
I mean, more in the sense of, do you think now rest of the season he's gonna show a bit more something going into these last few races?
I hope so, but I mean, not to bash on Norris either, but we've seen Norris trying really hard, and this year hasn't been kind to him at all. He tried to overtake Piastri in Canada, crashed the car. He tried to keep the lead in Belgium, lost the race. It's a season of really small margins, and if you make a really small mistake, it can really catapult into a big mistake. And I think those mistakes all added up to a point where Oscar is 20 points ahead, even with a terrible Baku weekend. That's it. It's the small mistakes, and you're losing out big time this year, because if you do it in qualifying, you're out in Q1. If you do it in a race, you're losing places and you can't overtake again, because that's the way it is. So yeah, you just have to be on it every single time. And if you're not at your full pace, that doesn't matter because no one can overtake you anyways. That's why Alonso is doing so well this year as well.
Cool. So, in your opinion, based on recent events,
Yeah, Norris is gonna go all the way.
who's going to win the championship?
I don't know.
Charles Leclerc.
Okay, buddy.
You gotta
I mean,
assassinate the top 4 drivers of the championship, or
possible. It's Ferrari.
Ferrari gotta do it themselves.
Look, seriously, there's a lot of variables that could happen either way. Mechanical failure, someone puts it in the wall,
Teammates crashing,
contact with another driver. But if you're going on pure, everything is fine, and it's all clean and everything. I think Piastri edges it slightly. I think Piastri will slightly edge it.
Depends on how well Red Bull does in Coda.
Yeah.
I still think that Max can put on pressure. I'm not going to say he wins all the races. I'm not that delusional. But if he is going to put on serious pressure, especially in a race where he starts behind them and has more pace, I think he can force them into mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we said, of course, after Singapore we'll know. I must say I didn't expect him to be P2. I didn't expect Russell to be P1. I also think that Mercedes could be a pretty important factor in the final races. Because if they get into the mix in the pole, P1, P2, then McLaren could really be missing out on those points as well. If Russell goes into the P4 slots and the P3 slots and Max is somewhere in the top 3, then the McLarens are losing more and more points every race. That is, of course, if Red Bull does well. But I think he can put on pressure, and it's definitely going to be a deciding factor in which of those drivers could edge him out. Yeah.
Well, I think if McLaren listened to my kind of ideas, especially the roulette situation, I think we're onto something. Get that proximity radio sorted.
Piastri, you get spins wheels. Wet.
I just don't want to hear any more radio of, oh, Norris has had a bad pit stop, Oscar. Would you mind just letting him through, please? And then you're free to race when we know you can't re-overtake him anyway because of the cars. So, I don't know. Have a nap for 10 seconds and just let Lando through. Thank you, Oscar. That's how you lose a championship. I'm telling you now, if he loses it by 2 points and he let him through in Monza, he's going to be all out for himself next year. That's just going to be. And if he isn't, then he has got a bad mentality as well.
We do the whole if thing. Like, I agree with you, but people said the same thing when this whole mess started in Hungary in 2024. Oh, well, if Lando loses this championship to Max, never in contention in my opinion, but if he loses it to Max, then McLaren are really going to look at why they let Oscar back through again in Hungary. Like,
I mean, you could even go as far as if Verstappen gets within 12 points. What if Austria?
Well, yeah. No, there's a bit of a difference between last year where there was a hypothetical possible challenge and this year there's 22 points.
No, I know. I mean,
At least this year we have 2 people in contention within 22 points and then another driver who's pretty far off. But last year we didn't have that one driver in the middle, and that makes it kind of interesting.
I mean, Norris was
40 points.
Never. He was never going to win because last year you also had Ferrari who were actually capable of pulling a result out the hat, and they took a lot of points off McLaren. So, not that Red Bull were any good, it was more so that Ferrari turned up towards the latter stages of last season, which Mercedes could do now.
I would just say that the reason I make reference to that incident in Hungary last year is mainly because this is when we first saw Papaya Rules rear its head. It's kind of like the marking point of when that began. I'm not bitter or twisted about it.
No,
no, not at all. But no, in all seriousness, like that kind of was the start of this whole circus mess incident, whatever you wanna call it. But yeah, I think we kind of just need to see what happens. Probably discuss this again every race until the end of the season, because they will make it our problem as fans of the sport.
I mean, we finally have a title fight again. We have had to wait like 3 years for it. But we finally have a title fight again. Because it's just been Max running away with it for 3 years in a row now.
McLaren, don't ruin it!
But
anymore.
I forgot what I was going to say as well. Oh yeah, I just don't want to see any driver swaps for the race win. If your drivers are 1 and 2, don't ask them to swap places. It takes away the effort the drivers put in. It takes away the effort the team puts in. Just don't do it. It takes away the spirit of the sport.
That is a beautiful quote to end this on. It takes away the spirit of the sport. And on that note, I think we've covered it all, guys. I think we got it. McLaren, phone me. I'll sort it. But other than that, yeah, we will be back again later in the week with more of our analysis and podcasts. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with everything we're doing on our website and on our social media. So yeah, that's everything from us. McLaren, don't ruin it.